So hope everybody's doing okay. You know what? I just found something. Let me see if I can change my mic volume. So I just found this. Messing with these AirPods. If it's gonna come up. Yeah, okay. So yeah, now okay, yeah. That's how it gets like loud. Oh, that's where I was fucking up all that time before. When this people saying my mic was low and I thought I couldn't raise any higher. It's the Mac sound. You actually got to go to the input there and change it and move it up like that. Okay. So now I'm probably like super fucking loud. And because it's going up to like the red. Maybe I should keep it in the green. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Philodendron. Philodendron. Ugh. Ugh. So hope everybody's doing all right. What's up, Cuban Links? What's up, man? Hope you doing all right. Oh, I meant to get back with you because I couldn't. I just got in contact with with the VA counselor. I don't know if you remember, but it was about that whole wedding link up. I couldn't even contact her because then when I finally did get a getaway, getting to be able to contact her, the government shut down. So I'm gonna send her the information for that wedding shit uh, sometime soon. But yeah, good to see you, man. I knew that shit was gonna happen. You guys could hear that. My package just came. It's supposed to come tomorrow. They fucking up. Package delivery is fucking up. They just sent a text saying it's there now. You guys probably heard that ding. Yeah, Jesus Christ. What's up, Mo? What's up? Uh, King. I guess that's King Lemo. I don't know. I probably butcher your name. What's up, Grave Rave? What's up, Jard? Have you seen the video Donald Trump being called the first Jewish president by a Jewish lawyer named Mark Levin? Donald Trump sold out to Israel, and I don't know what that is. But no, I haven't watched the news. I've actually I have a story about that because I don't watch TV and I don't watch the news and I very rarely get on social media. Um, I went to go get. I went to go. So when I took my son to school was at Monday. Um, I went to this pretty nice area. I think I'm gonna move over there to that area because I'm just tired of this area. Even though the landlord, because I'm renting this flat, the landlord's always been cool. Never had issues with him. He's never bumped the price of rent up by anything crazy like other people have. When I tell people how much I pay for rent, they're like, "What? You pay how much?" I'm like, "Yeah, man." Like they be shocked. But I think I'm gonna move to this nice area. So I'll go over there to this. When I walk my son to school, actually that morning when I walked my son to school and I left, I was getting ready to go ice skating because they put this ice skating rink up. And I went over there, and this is another part of why I think I want to move to a nicer area. When I went to this, it was this ice skating rink open down there on this street, on this main street in the center called Nabshi Kopne. It's like where all the stores are, not all of them, but it's a street in Prague, like, and there was an ice rink. And I went over there to ask. I said, "Hey, can I ice skate with y'all?" And they said, "Yeah." And all the girls were beautiful. Like all the girls in there looked like those beautiful girls you see, like those beautiful women in like Olympic figure skating type of thing. All of them looked like that. Like all of them was like that. And they could barely speak English. And they came over and like helped me out and pointed to say, "Yeah, it costs like this and this and this." And then I said, "Okay, I'll be back." So I went to this through this corridor to go, not a corridor. It's like a strip mall, like in between of the actual Napshikopnia street. And I met this other parent, and we got to talking for like an hour about our kids and the school. She's American. This is his mother. She's American, and all the talks I have on here with y'all about, like, dude, like, I don't even do this shit here. Like, people come to me like worse, like complaining. Like, she's complaining to me about the Czech school system, and she says she would never. She would never live in her boyfriend, her spouse is okay. This woman is American. I think she's from California, and her spouse is German, but her spouse can speak Czech, and that's a whole issue with that in the school. So I asked her, I said, "What about sending your kid to Germany?" And she goes, "I would not." She's, "I would never want to live in Germany." Like, Jesus Christ. These things are so funny, as, like, when it comes like social media and just to get clicks on YouTube, people will tell you like anything they think you want to hear about Europe. But when you meet when you meet Americans who genuinely lived in Europe and like had like completely deep connections in Europe, they always are full of complaints, dude. Like, I don't think I've met one American person. I don't think I've met one Westerner, actually, because I bought this camera from this dude, and he was from Australia, and he was just hitting me up with the same shit, like, about how Czech laws are terrible, like, European laws are just awful, like they still just operate off of emotion versus logic first. Like, I'm not even saying anything. They're literally coming to me with this shit and just, like, venting. They're like, "Oh my God, another Westerner. I can talk to you about this shit. These motherfuckers are ridiculous." But it's like we all come to the same conclusion. As long as we stay off the grid, we could live a much easier life financially or socially. But like, but you have to find a lifestyle where you can stay off the grid, kind of thing. But yeah. So when I spoke with the mother, and she was complaining about the school system for like an hour. We were just talking about it, and she was talking about my son, because her son's like 6 or 7. So she was telling me everything that was gonna happen, and like how, like, we were just comparing, like, like pretty much the European education system on a whole does not value innovation or like creative thinking. Like, they're still massively stuck on like, you figure out what you want to do when you're 13 and that's your life. Like, they don't have a sense of like reinventing or any, like, it's really this weird situation. And and here's it. I don't want to make it sound like I'm like being mean about Europe or anything like that, which sometimes I am. But here's the thing. My true opinion on this shit is like, Europe is in a very weird position, in my opinion. I think it's in a very weird position because, and I've always thought this, I don't think I've ever said this on YouTube. Like, okay, there was a situation, I think 50 Cent was talking about it, when 50 Cent was in G Unit, right? And I think him and Lloyd Banks was like he was another rapper in G Unit in the group, but 50 Cent was essentially like the leader of G Unit because he was 50 Cent. But they had like Tony Yayo, Lloyd Banks, I think Young Buck had come in and rap with him for a while. But anyway, like Lloyd Banks, who was just like a side character in the group, he would go to his hood and be a superstar until 50 came to the hood, and everybody just immediately forgot who Lloyd Banks was, and they wanted to be on 50's team, and Lloyd Banks got mad about it, and that's how him and 50 started like beefing, and I think that's how they like split the group up. But here's the like Europe is essentially Lloyd Banks. Like Europe isn't a real, and I don't mean this to sound mean or like hateful or anything, but it's just the reality to it. Now the Europeans will get mad at me for saying this because they're in it, but like I don't mean this to sound mean. But like when Europe is over here and they're just left alone, like Europe is the shit to like all the other countries and continents in this area. Like everybody wants to get to Europe. So when they get here, they're like, "Oh my God, thanks for the opportunity for letting us into Europe. And Europe is so great." And Europeans like, "Yeah, we know. We the shit." And then Americans come in and we come in and get to seeing this shit because we heard so much about it and be like, yeah, y'all really ain't up to speed like that for real. And they get mad about it, like because their egos is like residing in being the shit to like Africa and like the Middle East and Russia and all, like Europe is still held in a high regard to these places. So they think they're like worldwide leaders because their egos are getting stroked by those immigrants coming in from these like lesser countries that's going, oh wow, I can't wait to get to Europe so I can tell people I'm in Europe. But then Americans come here like, and we see it, and like we're the only, I say most of Westerners come here and we be like, yeah, y'all really ain't up to speed like that. And they'll fuck around and get mad at you. Because America's 50 Cent, you know what I mean? Like everybody, if given a chance, if given a chance in the world, if everybody had a chance to make it in America or make it in Europe, people, first off, most people say America. No, everybody wants to work at an American company, all right? Even Europeans, all right? Like everybody, if given a chance, would be like, that's some shit you put on your resume, all right? In the world, right? Like, and these are things that people don't talk about on YouTube. In the context of the world, everybody wants to put on their resume that they worked in the U.S. or they went to school in the U.S., whatever. Like that is, and this is one part that Americans don't really know is that like, see, as Americans, we see Europe as exotic because they have fucking croissants and cheese and shit. But for real, like in the world, like everybody, like it would help everybody's resume if they had some type of association with North America in their resume and the rest of the world. And these are things that nobody talks about like openly. You know what I mean? It's just like you should just automatically know it kind of thing. But yeah, it's really just like a weird. Europe is in a really weird spot, and in many ways, I really feel sorry for Europe because like they're just in a weird spot. They really are. You know what I mean? Like I really feel sorry for Europe in all honesty. I get frustrated a lot, but in completely blunt honesty, like I do feel sorry because they're just so confused and like, I mean, it's just there's just so much confusion. I was teaching a guy earlier today. His father's from Syria and his mother is Czech, and he wants to have conversations with me in English. And we were talking about the differences between like Syria and here, and his dad's Muslim. And he said out in Syria, like, you can't find alcohol, like they don't have prostitution or gambling. And he said, like, when Syrians come out here, like, a lot of times he was inferring that a lot of times, like, they just can't control themselves because now they can gamble, they can get prostitutes. And Europe's full of good looking, cheap women. And it's like they just go crazy, because they're not used to that freedom. We had a good long talk today. And I was telling him differences about like North America and Europe, and I was asking him about his dad and not eating pork, and while pork is a major dish in Europe, in Czech Republic, I mean, because his mom's Czech. But Cuban links, everyone trying to work at Amazon out there. Oh man, Czech Republic, yeah, like Amazon out here is a very low paying job. One. I would say about the only reason that does give, like, from what I know, the only thing that really gives it any reason people would want to work on Amazon is because it's American. It's highly synonymous with America. And see, this is what the rest of the world, like, this is what Americans don't really fully realize is like I said earlier, if anything has a high association with North America, like, you are automatically fucking like recognized, right? Like, and it's super fucked up, like, because I don't need I think it's really dumb, but it's just how it is. If anything you do, you own anything, if you can associate it with America, you are seen as a little bit better in every culture on Earth. Okay, nobody is immune to that shit. All right. At minimum, you will be exotic. At maximum, you'd have the best of whatever, or up there with the best of whatever it is. It's just how it is. I didn't make these rules. Okay, I didn't make. But yeah, Amazon out here is. I remember when I first moved here, and I moved in with my ex-wife at the time, and it was a big house. It was a nice house. And there was a billboard like in the front yard, but like off to the right, right? And on that billboard, they were advertising jobs at Amazon, and they were paying like I'm not making this shit up, dude. They were paying like $600 a month. It was like maybe like 14, 15, and they were advertising that as if you like this is a good deal. You need to come out here and work. It was, oh, like, oh my god! Like if Americans knew this is what they this is what they can get away with. And it's like Amazon is like sad. Like I could go on for hours about like how Europe is so confused. Like what they're paying, like in America, if you get Amazon Prime, you get all your deliveries for free, and you get Amazon TV. Guess who's paying for that shit? Europe is. Europe's paying for it, and they don't know. And it's sad because they keep doing it. And if you try to tell them, they don't know because they're ignorant, and they can't be dumb and ignorant because they're European, and Americans are always dumb and ignorant, so they don't listen, and they keep paying for all Americans free shipping and Amazon TV and Amazon Radio, whatever the fuck they because they paying for it. Dude, I seen this shipping. I looked like it's really sad. Like this, like there is so many parts that goes into this. But again, like it's hard to tell Europeans because like I said earlier, one, they're used to getting their ego stroked by Indians or Africans or maybe even Russians or people from the Middle East. They're so used to getting their ego stroked by being like the big dog for that temporary amount of time that when you come in as an American and say like, no, like y'all fucking up. Like they get mad about it. I had a conversation with my Russian friend. That's where I was taking the initial story because we were talking about healthcare, and we were walking down the street to the tram I was going to get on, and I was telling him how like Europeans are really like fucked. Like well, the world's really fucked up. The world is really ignorant to North America, but they think they know North America. And I was telling him how because he's Russian, and I asked him, do they have free healthcare in Russia? And he says, yeah. I said, see, but he said, and he was saying how America's healthcare is so expensive and you got to pay thousands and this and that. I said, yeah, that's true. But I think the confusion in healthcare is when a European or a Russian or a South American or a Middle Eastern, when they hear that Americans pay a premium for healthcare, what they're hearing, let's say like a Czech person, when they hear that, what they hear is Americans are getting our standard of health care at premium prices. They're fucking retarded. And that would be retarded. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. If Americans got the standard of like a typical European healthcare situation, it would be pathetic. Okay, that would be a horrible deal. No one would pay for it. If you had to pay for free, when you see there's consequences to free healthcare, it's not you don't want that. For many reasons, okay? It sounds good, but you don't want that. And the reality of it is, and I told the Russian friend of mine, I said, the reality of it is when Americans hear that Europeans get free health care, Americans hear, oh, that they're getting our standard of health care for free. And it's not, American standard of health care is like 10 levels higher, okay? I was explaining to him how when you walk into most any American hospital, the floors will be polished. Okay, they will. I told him they would look like this museum that he knows, and I said, when we walk in that museum, and it's like perfect. I said, yeah. I said that's how American hospitals are, but you wouldn't even see a hospital look as bad as generally. I mean, some of them will be modern here, but like they don't put that same urgency and care into modernizing things like we do in the U.S. Like they're just a little too personable with it, and they don't have that same sense of like we need to. It's just it's a floor, it's there. You know what I mean? And like I said, these are the main like smaller areas that people don't talk about on YouTube. Because most people don't know. Most people you'll hear on YouTube don't really didn't have a lot of experience in depth, because most times when people are in a position like mine, they're like stuck having to work all day, so they don't jump on YouTube and talk about these things. So the people you do generally have on YouTube talking about shit are usually going to be people who are living very sheltered lives, never did anything. They probably vacationed somewhere for like a week and then left, and you know what I mean, or they lived in like in a complete, in a complete expat zone where they weren't mingling with the real natives. So like it's a sad reality, but that's the reality of this situation. Hey, what's up, Ivy Bo? You went to the gym? Word up. That's cool, man. Hope you have a good workout. Javi, Lloyd Banks was a better lyricist, but 50 was a better songwriter. Yeah, I agree with that. What do you mean by off the grid? Cuban Link's like what I think it is. No, off the grid, living off the grid, I mean like, okay, in this context, living off the grid in Europe, I would say don't pick up the social habits of their workforces. Unless you're in like some type of German area, something like that. Okay, unless you're in one of these areas, like I would say Germany, and from what I would assume, Switzerland. I don't know. I've never been to Switzerland, but what I would assume, I would say this: the only places where I would at least consider being one with the workforce would be the countries that make great metal or machinery, or great metal or machinery. Those are the only places. I would, if I would ever move to Italy, I would never work amongst Italians. If I were to move to France, I would never want to work amongst the French. If I would, which is mean to say, but look, when you get to things like knives or cars, anything that took compound thinking to make, see, it's a reason why people only buy German and Swiss. All right, then when it comes to cloth, some shit that's like 2,000 years old, well, yeah, now you buy Italian, Italy shit, or French. You just write French or Italian on shit that's like, 2,000 years in the making. Yeah, you trust that. But any type of like legit modern that took compound thinking from modern times, there's a reason why people only buy German, Swiss, these kind of things, right? There's a reason why. It's not by accident. But yeah, when I say we're off the grid, like, because I was gonna start a school here, and I really gave it thought, and that's why I didn't start the school. I'll still go out independently here or there, but I'm not gonna start my own thing here because their work ethic just ain't right. It's just not right. They just don't got it. And they're in a situation, and it's really sad, at least for being here in Czech Republic. I don't know much about Poland because I didn't spend a long time in Poland in any capacity, or had a lot of relations with a workforce in Poland. But being here in Czech Republic is in pretty much a micro weird spot of like the Lloyd Bank situation. Like foreigners come here are so impressed. So when you come as like an expat, which is like a richer, higher foreigner, and you be like, yeah, y'all ain't doing this right. Like they'll rather just get mad at you and then run back and maintain their ego to be above the Indians or the Africans or whatever the fuck like that, right? They're not gonna listen to you, right? Because what they're doing is working on them, so they'll just conquer them and run away from you, kind of thing. So that's why, it would be a very low chance I would never look into getting a job in Czech Republic because their work ethic it's just not right. It's not right. And I told my child's mother. I've told many other Czech people. I said, look, you're going to get paid half the wages because you do half the quality of work. And I've always been very open about it. I've never held that back. It's just the entire work ethic is just too feminine. It's what they feel like doing, and feelings, See, Apple didn't become Apple because of feelings. Apple became Apple because of logic and and consistency. And the thing is, like, and I don't mean to go on like a negative rant about Czech Republic, but they're starting to feel it now. See, like Westerner companies who were coming here, who were essentially using Czech Republic as India. That's what they were doing. These Westerner companies, they would come to Czech Republic and use them for cheaper labor. That's all. They were essentially just the white Indians of Europe, right? Let's be honest. Let's just call a spade a spade. Well, um, they've burned many bridges with Western companies, and now these Western companies are moving to South America. Actually, one place I was teaching at now, Atlas, I guess I think it's called Atlas Co or something like that. They were opening offices in Bolivia and a few other places in South America, and all those people are losing their jobs because the Czechs have burnt their bridges. They're coming in with this emotion based. This emotion based clunky logic system that does not modernize in any kind of way. And they're burning their bridges. So now these jobs, these Westerner jobs that are here, they're packing up and moving to South America and moving further out east. The Czechs are going to lose all these jobs, and it's really sad. It really is, because the younger ones had nothing to do with it. They were just trying to get paid and get money. But I really feel sorry for them because like they can't see it. Right, me and the Russia friend, we were talking about this because I remember exactly where we were. We were riding down escalators and going to the subway because we were talking about how landlocked countries usually have mentally fucked up. They're usually mentally fucked up. They usually focus too far inward. And I asked him, "Is Russia the same way?" And he goes, "Yeah." He told me flat out Russians are not too much different. And he said the only way you can see it is if you leave and then go back. So these situations, I'm sure you could find on YouTube where like there's always like a Russian person because Russians know that, okay, if a Russian is in Russia, like they know they can sell that to the world because like the whole world like associates communism with Russia and this fucked up mentality and all that, right? With that kind of communism. So like they know they can sell this idea, but this is not just Russia. This is generally a landlocked country situation. It's not just Russia. It's definitely not Russia. It's not only Russia that does this. They get mentally fucked up. It's almost like they almost end up like a family of just like they almost end up a country of inbreeding. Like they can't see anything outside of like what they already it's like they can't see any further than here. Right? It's like they walk down the street like this and just bump into shit. You know what I mean? Like, and then when you go and when you meet people who had access to water, like that goes away. Now you can walk and talk, and because he was telling me when he went to Belgium, I think I showed the pictures last week, and he said, man, like it was so easy to talk to people. It wasn't this clunkiness and the personality. And that's how we got in the topic of, yeah, it was probably because they had that, because Belgium was it Antwerp? They have that access, they have that Antwerp. It's not a pier. It's like, I forget what you call that. But it's not a pier. A pier goes out, but you come in there. But he said, yeah, he was just talking to women, talking to anybody. Like it wasn't like this situation here. Yeah, there's a lot of little tidbits because I'm actually reading this book now in my off time too. Yeah, and the last group I got on was Slovakia. Well, I was on I think Hungary, Romania, and now it's on Slovakia about what happens when you give countries free when the countries give their people free shit. And this is I think somebody mentioned about a week or two ago what I thought about like the monthly stipend that America is trying to do. And I think that's a horrible idea. The situation, I don't know if anybody's paid attention, but America's like been giving out like $500, $800 a month or something like that. You're just giving out, and it worked in small cities. It worked on a small scale, but on a large scale, I think that's the word. Look, if you want to look and to see what happens when you do that, just look at Europe around the mid '90s. When they tried that. And that's why their education rates are still not great, and their education systems are still pretty fucked up because they have free education. But see, and now this is the other part that most Americans and most of the world doesn't really realize when you talk about education. So let's use like situations like Russia, for example, or pretty much any European country, for example. Well, their higher education does not get approached in the same way that America's higher education is approached. Now, yeah, Americans, we have to pay for higher education, but America also highly promotes innovation, creative thinking, critical thought, and on top of that, that the idea that anybody can potentially go to school at any time they want, whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. We have that put into us that we can always get up and do something. Whereas in most of the rest of the world, they don't have it like that. Okay, their education systems are extremely fucked up. All right, now they're free. I'll give you that. They're free. But when you go and see how they're truly structured for them to develop, that's where you start coming into problems. And see, that's why America leads the world in innovation, creation, and development, and everybody else just mimics North America. See, this is not by accident. Okay, so for example, like let's use Czech Republic, Germany. Actually, me and my VA counsel, we were talking about Germany is the same way. When you hit like pretty much 13, 14, 15, specifically, now I'm going to use Czech Republic. When you hit 15, you have to pick what they call a gymnasium. Now in America, a gymnasium is like physical education, but over here, a gymnasium, that is like the turning point of if you will be able to go to university or you will not be able to go to university. If your family is in with the wrong area, whatever, and you go to the wrong gymnasium, I think gymnasium's like the highest one. But they have two other schools, and if you don't go there, then that's it. You're pretty much doomed to never go to university. And see, these are parts that Europeans don't mention to America because Europeans think that America is the same shit. They're not thinking like it could be something different. So what happens is, let's take for example, like most places in Europe, most places, and statistically speaking, Russia is very similar with this. Yeah, you will have some great engineers. You will have a percentage of the population that is educated, but there is no sense of like a general spread of education. They're still extremely segregated in in who does what. You see what I'm saying? Now, anybody watching this stream right now in America, you could get up tomorrow and go apply and go get into a school, go get into community college or anything from mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, whatever the fuck. In these other countries, you can't do that for a few reasons, literally and emotionally. You can't do that because they're not wired for that. And it's these little areas that don't get talked about. Or never really go into anywhere near the depth that I just went into, and I didn't really even go that far into depth on it. I was just because I was speaking with the woman, the director. I teach her every Wednesday at 1 or 2. I can't remember. It was 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. I teach her every Wednesday, and she gave me this bottle of wine, and I'm not going to drink it because I quit drinking. I'm going to give it to somebody else, but she gave me a bottle of wine. I'll show you the bottle of wine she gave me. Hang on. This is the bottle of wine she gave me for Christmas from the bank that she works at. Because she came to me and she said, I'll give you some wine. What color you want? I said, I guess white. She goes, well, I have pink, white, and red. Which one you want? I got to go white. She goes, okay, I'll be right back. And she runs over there and grabs me a bottle of wine. It says Merry Christmas. Right? And we talked about it. She's a Czech woman. And I told her, I always tell her I'm proud of her every time I see her because I am proud of her. She's well educated. She has a good job. She's taking care of her body. She dresses well. I'm so proud of her. Oh, we were talking about about education systems, and here's the thing. This is what I found too. If you can speak with let's say like a European who has hope in life, then they can openly talk about all this shit. But if you find one of them who's like medium to lower in life, like they'll get offended because that's their last sense of ego in the world. But I was telling her how in America we have this sense of like inventing ourselves and reinventing ourselves. And I told her, yeah, in America, like a job like this, your job would pay for you to go back to college. And she goes, oh yeah, no, not here. Our jobs don't do that. They're not gonna pay for in any way to get you. They're not looking into putting their employees back into college, like on a massive scale like that. They're just not going to do it. Like once you're an adult, that's it. You're an adult, and you're locked in. It's that that feudal shit, that feudal mentality. Whatever you are, that's it. If you're born poor, well, you live poor. If you're born rich, then you live rich. That's just like there's no flex, there's no, jumping and moving. It's whack. It's flat. It's just. But she's great. I love her. She's great. She's amazing. I'm really proud of her. We always have great conversations. She's wonderful. I think Europe is definitely headed towards a century of humiliation because of everything you're saying. Its pride primarily won't let her adapt in a meaningful way. Yeah. Europe is really in a really weird spot. Although I don't mind getting money from the government, although I feel like the stimulus checks and all that are like an accelerated version of benefits. Well, that's where I was going. Yeah, so yeah, Cuban links where I was going with the getting the free money. Like, if you want to see what happens, just look up any European country in the 90s when that happened. It's just a catastrophe. It will lead inevitably to a catastrophe. Look at pretty much any European area who these areas are generally, well, I would say most European areas in the 90s. This is why their economy's dog shit. The education rates were terrible. The education's terrible because the people were just, they didn't know what to do with it. If you give somebody something for free, first off, they're going to fuck it up because they're not used to having it. Okay? It's just part of the learning process. They're going to fuck it up. Then on top of that, if you're lucky, like I said, in this book, I'm on Slovakia. I left off at Slovakia at this shitty coffee shop. I went to this coffee shop. There's some great coffee shops here in Prague, but I went to this one. It's in a. I actually show you on Google Maps. Let me see where. I'll show you the exact coffee shop because it's right by that big gold building that it's on my Instagram page. It's right next to there. Yeah, this building right here. Oh wait, shit, I can't. Zaha. Let me find the name of it so I can find on Google Maps. Well, I just find on Google Maps like this. And it's really a shitty coffee shop. What's the name of that shit? Zaha Hadid. I don't know. I was actually teaching a guy who was well, I could find it. Hang on, I'll just find it the regular way. I was teaching a guy who was one of my students was actually responsible for for drawing out and making the instructions on putting that gold up on that building. So I'll tell you what, this is what we do. I'll just go there from, I have no idea where the fuck this is. Oh shit, what did I just do? Okay. Let's see. Where the fuck? Okay, Namaste Republic is. It's got to be over here, but then you walk. So it's going to be over here. Should have to bust up. Yep, here it is right here. So it's probably not even up yet. Okay, yeah, so you see that gold building right there? Can you see that? Uh-oh. Oh, shoot. So that gold building, I was actually one of my students, I'm going to meet with him next year because he's just too packed. So one of my students, he's an architect, and he was actually the one who was responsible for drawing out the instructions. He would just show me pictures on that whole building while it was being built, like before it was up. And he was in charge of that. And the reason why he had to cancel this whole month is because he's in charge of, I forget, I think it's putting some type of windows into this. It's going to be the tallest building in Greece, and he showed me the pictures of the 3D artwork of what they're putting there. But he flies like to the UK. He'll show me pictures from like some building they're working on in the UK, and like but he's an architect, so he's like into this shit. This motherfucker will like share his screen and just show me all types of secret information. You know what I mean? So shit I should know. And he's just showing me all. He's telling me everything. I don't remember 75% of it. But real good dude. He's a young dude too. He's like 25. This dude is he's like 25, 26, and he's just like focused, like really impressive. He's a Czech dude, really impressive. But he said he dropped out of college. I said, "How did you end up becoming an architect then?" And he says, "Well, his mom, she's in charge of a bunch of nurses or something like that, and his dad, I think his dad was really into what's it when they put the flower, when they make like flower decorations like in like like a park or so, not necessarily a park, just like it's a really elaborate. I can't think of the name. Not a botanist, but I forget the name of it. But it's like a decorating with flowers. But it's a big deal because you have to know the flowers and you have to know which flowers feed off of which ones and which ones will kill each other if you put them too close together. So it's not bull. They're not just like grabbing random flowers and putting them in there. Like you got to know what you're doing, to keep them in the optimal surviving condition, that close to, because the roots are going to start crossing with each other. But he's a real good dude, man. Anyway, the coffee shop is really bad. Is there? This one. I'm just calling. I was in there. I'm just putting them on blast. But look, I got to be honest. Everything I ever got out of there was bad. All right. Like, the only reason I go to this coffee shop is because it's in what do they call it? Like a high acidity? Is that how you call it? A high acidity area? That's the only reason why I go here, because the people are going to be a little more classy in there. But I got to be honest with you, I have not gotten one thing out of there that tastes close to good. Everything, I've never finished anything I've ever bought out of there, but I go in there to sit down and read, right? And I was reading this book in there Tuesday. Wait, was it Monday or Tuesday? I can't remember now. No, it was Tuesday. That was Tuesday I was reading. Monday I went to that other coffee shop, and with the hot chocolate, yeah. But yeah, I can't remember why I brought that up now. But yeah, this is where I be at all the time. I always be like somewhere down here, or like walk up here and in the mall. Well, there's a Bila up here. That's where I get my cheap chicken wings from. They get who would have guessed a black dude finding good cheap chicken wings in Prague. But Bila got, so I go, there's a grocery store like inside there, and they got good cheap chicken wings in there. And then so I walk up here. You probably won't be. Oh, you can go up here. Okay. Yeah, so I go, and then the mall is down there. But yeah, so this is where I am, like literally all the fucking time. Like literally all the fucking, I'm here all the time. And me and my dad and my spouse, we ate dinner out here last year. We were sitting right at that end corner down there, and my son was asleep. So we got to eat before he woke up and started crying. But that's my life. What do you think most men are lacking in order to separate themselves from being average? Social circles. So Kevin Mugami, what I think that most men are lacking in order to separate themselves from being average. Being in the wrong social circle. Because, okay, let's be honest. Like no matter, okay, Donald Trump is average with his friends, right? Like in his social circle, he's average. So but I think where you're probably, where I'm assuming you're coming from, because everybody's average once they get to that average place. But I think if I had to assume where you're getting at with this is social circles and courage to acknowledge that you might try something and completely fucking fail and then still try it anyway. Because now this is the real important part, right? I just farted. This is the real important part. In order to grow and to stay out of being average, and this is the real important part. This is the key part under anything else. For $79.99. No, I'm playing. I'm playing. The main part is to not worry about if you succeed or fail. All right. You have to look at it, whatever you're trying to do, whatever it is, Don't look at the embarrassment of failing or, getting rejected from a job, whatever. Don't worry about that. You have to dig deeper within yourself and realize that it's more about you making the habit of trying again. And learning. And if you failed, pay attention to what and why and how you failed. And then now you have that data to work with for when you try again. That's what it is. Don't focus on success. Don't even really worry about the success, because you're going to eventually get, generally, for most things, you're going to get there. All right. It's inevitable. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about becoming a millionaire. Don't worry about traveling the world. Because if you just keep habits up of continuously trying, by nature, you'll get to wherever you're trying to go. Okay. I think that's the core above everything else. You got and sometimes you got to start small. Maybe it's just trying a different flavor of soda when you get a meal, and you don't even like that soda, because there's a good chance you probably won't even like it, but just try it anyway. Just get something you don't even know. I'll show you a great example. I just did this today at the grocery store, because I'm in the habit of doing this shit. But I'll show you what I just did today. I just got it from the grocery store today. I'll be right back. Matter of fact, and we gonna try them live, because I don't even know what this shit is. I bought it today because I didn't know what the fuck it was. That's why I bought it. It's these fruits. It's called lick tea or something like that. Hang on, I'm gonna pull one out. I don't even know how you're supposed to eat it. This thing. I don't know what the fuck it is. I seen it. I seen this girl. She was just picking them. I'm like, what? Because I was getting some oranges. I've been on an orange kick lately, right? And she was picking these up. I just assumed they were some kind of like acorn or something. I don't know what the fuck it was, right? I said, you know what? I'm gonna go over there and buy them, and I'm gonna try them. I don't even know what it is. And so I Googled it. We're gonna try it live. I don't know if I just bite into it or do I cut it. I'm gonna go get a knife real fast. I have no idea what this is. I'm gonna cut it. Wait, which one is? Okay, this is my book, so I can cut on this book. Oh, it's juicy. It's leaking. I think it's like a grape. It's really soft. It feels hard when you just, it's real. You just bite it and it cracks. Okay. I don't like that. Maybe you gotta peel it, but it's got this like peel them. Okay, yeah, yeah, I figured that out. Oh, yeah, you gotta peel that. You can't eat that skin. You see that? It's like, I don't want it to leak on the keyboard. Ugh. If I just ate a bunch of sand. This white part ain't bad. Yeah, it's not bad. Once you know how to eat it, it's not bad. Ain't bad. Once you know what the fuck you're doing, it's all right. I does. But that's how you learn. Now I know. Don't just bite into it. wasn't too bad. It's a little expensive because the actual part you can actually eat is not that big. I guess that's the seed in the middle. You got a similar version in Cuba? Word up. But yeah, but back to the original topic, man. Just try something that you know you ain't gonna like, and just try it anyway. Try something you know you ain't gonna like, or just some people sometimes you gotta start small. If you don't like orange soda, well then just try a different brand of orange soda. Maybe you might like that other brand. Then you gonna go, oh wait a minute, I thought I didn't like orange soda. I just didn't like Sunkissed. You know what I mean? That's like, I wonder if I like da 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 da. Right? And see, that's how you start. Life is really okay for people who really survive and make it in this shit. It's about habits, man. And these habits usually start small. Like with me and money, man. Like when I first moved out, and I'm really honest. And here's the thing: when I talk about when I talk about this with the people I teach, because most people I teach are in pretty high up positions, and I'm always very honest. And I can see the disappointment in their eyes when I tell them this. I say, yeah, the only reason why I went to college was so I can afford video games and watching porn in my own living space. Like I was addicted to video games and porn in the freedom of my own living quarters. Like, and that's the only reason why I kept going to school. I remember I told this one dude, he was a Ukrainian dude, but he was working a good job. He wasn't one of those like, immigrants, trying to sneak into the country. He was like a dude. He got his legit education in Czech Republic. Speaks fluent Czech. He's one of them. He moved here when he was like 16, and so he's a legit professional. And I remember I just seen like the disappointment in his eyes because like I don't think he was ready to hear that. In a setting like that in his world, like everybody's supposed to make themselves sound as perfect as possible. I told him, yeah, man, that's the reason why I went to college. I just kept going to school and kept getting degrees because of that. I mean, well, there's other reasons too, but that was probably some of the bigger reasons. But yeah, but it's the habit. It's just life habits. Because you don't just start out. Most people just don't start out, making $1 million doing Bitcoin or something like that. It's habits. Like if anybody who ever succeeded in life like this, I would say majority of people, if you look at their life, there were signs all in their life. For people who succeed and like horribly fail, if you look back at their life, there was usually like, signs, of habits that led up to that point. People usually don't just like stumble into these things for good or bad. Let's take like a gambler who like makes $1 billion gambling. Well, if you look at their past, like you would see history. They didn't just gamble that one time and get $1 billion. You know what I mean? Or people who lose $1 billion, like they didn't just do one thing and lose $1 billion. These are life habits. So back to just sort of finish that off, man. Like, how do you separate yourself from being average? Don't do average shit that other people are doing. And most people you're gonna come across in life are gonna be scared of life. So don't end up in that mentality that you're surviving life. Whatever you got to do, you have to figure out that your core purpose in life is growth and not survival. Okay. Even if you're surviving, like grow in your survival. Like when I was poor in college, man, I would be like so poor in college. I was sleeping in a homeless shelter at first. When I be poor in college, I mean I could always run back home or something, but I wasn't gonna do it. I wanted to make it like on my own doing it. And um grow in poverty, like figure out how to get what you want with nothing. You see what I'm saying? Like figure out how to make lentils taste amazing. Don't just sit down and be mad because you got to eat lentils because you ain't got no money. If all you got is lentils and flour and salt, figure out how to make a blend of that to make it taste amazing. Right? Grow even when you're down, even when you have nothing. Like figure out how to grow with nothing. You see what I'm saying? Like these are the core areas. It's not just about putting in hours at a job and saving up to buy a Louis Vuitton bag or some silly shit like that. It's about knowing how. It's about learning how to make your own bag. Learning how to make. If you bored, go figure out how to make your own pair of pants or your own shoes. Learn about how people make their own shit. All right. Don't do what all the average people are doing. All the average people are doing is sitting around hoping somebody gives them a job. They sitting around hoping that somebody gonna give them something. They're not doing anything. Most people will not do anything for themselves. Okay, do something that is enriching yourself. Go to any free school, free classes, it's a ton of free. Me and that mom, that was one area because me and that mom, we was talking. The American woman I told you about, I was talking about earlier. And because she was on that shit too, like getting free stipends and all that. I told her, look, that's the worst idea you can do. That's literally the worst thing you can do. Because life is not about getting free shit. The reason why I can say that, and I told her we were sitting down in this little like strip area, and it had a bunch of stores in it. And we were just talking for like an hour. I said, look, the reason why I can tell you is it's not about getting free shit. Because right now, I pulled out my phone and I pulled up free, like just university lectures from like, and I found the one that I was telling you guys about a long time ago. I pulled out my phone and I showed her and I said, look, all these people sitting up here working these dead end jobs, flower shops are working in the Calvin Klein store and all that. What was it? And he was the first dude that came up when I was with her, and that was a guy I learned psychology from. And watch, I can't find him now. Watch, I won't be able to find him now. But I found him with her. He was like the first guy that popped up, and that was when I started my psychology run. When I was studying biotechnology, I just studied all that. I watched literally every course he had. I think he was a Yale teacher. This dude right here. I watched every one of this guy's courses. He was in psychology. I watched every one of his courses. This had to have been maybe 2000. This had to have been about maybe 2010, about then. And I watched that, and that started my run with psychology and mental health. I didn't actually take it till I did my master's program in it, but he started. I watched every one of his. I could never find him on purpose till I was sitting with her. And I said, that's it. I was looking for him. But back to our conversation, I was telling her, like, it's not about free shit. If you give people free shit, the number one thing that's always going to disappear is education. Look at Europe. Education's free. And they still can't get their people to go to university. It's free. So what's the excuse, Europe? It's free. It's not it's not about education being expensive. That's not the problem. Okay. The worst thing you could do is give it to them for free. Because they're not going to care. Because I told her the experiment, I told her my thoughts on it. If she was on that shit, I need to give people stipends so they can survive. Because she's from California, she's from San Francisco. We were talking about San Francisco. And because I asked her if that Full House area was real. She goes, yeah, it's real, but it's just filled with tourists all the time and all this thing. And so I said, okay, yeah. Like let's say if a country gives like 100 people $10,000 a month. I can tell you right within 6 months, at least 80% of them will be fat, hooked on drugs, just completely ridiculous. Very few people will genuinely take that money and build themselves in any kind of way. You might as well just give the money to Pizza Hut, Cadillac, Jordan. You might as well, because what are they gonna do with it? Nothing. All right. I think it's okay. The number one thing is education will go out the window. Now, in the case of Slovakia, which was gone over in this book, what Slovakia did was they gave everybody. Well, first off, Slovakia Slovakia never really had good industry. It didn't ever have like a major industry sector. So in order to employ more of their people, they literally shipped all the gypsies to Czech Republic. Czech Republic was the dumping ground for populations. Okay, because people just figure out Czech Republic would get money from the Western countries to survive. So Slovakia just like dumped all their shitty people in the Czech Republic. Well, after that, they built a whole lot of one-family households for the people for free. Well, in theory, that sounds good. But in reality, in reality, what ended up happening was jobs were still scarce. Education was just pretty much out the window. Education didn't even register anymore for the population. The people then went inside their house and did more construction on their house, so much to where they would take their kids out of school to focus on the housework far more before school, right? Because now they got a place to live. It's free. Right. So and then it was documented that the people valued what was a real man by building a house, but they could not go into education and actually fight the world. So they're stuck at home, right? Which sounds good on paper until you need something. Until you need something like let's say, for example, like the Irish potato blight. Something like that happens. Well, nobody's educated. Everybody's fucking stupid. Nobody has any discipline in the world. You can't unite because guess what? Everybody's focused on every individual house, their own one little house. So they have no sense of unification, no sense of military. They can't protect against anything. Education pretty much gone out, has completely left the chat. You got a country full of fucking morons. All right. And if it wasn't for the EU, they'd be saying Das Vidania right now. You see, giving people free shit is the worst thing you could do. You have to make them work for it in some kind of way. Now, there was other complications because it was after the fall of communism, which that did a doozy on education in its own way, because if you spoke against the party, then you would never be able to go to college, these kind of things. There's also other factors that played in part with it. But giving people free shit is the worst decision you can do. That's by far the worst decision. Like I said, look at the rest of the world who has free education. Now look at their education rates. Let me ask you that. Look at, if for any American who thinks that Europe or South America has it great because they have free education, free healthcare. Well, first off, look at their education rates. Second, look at their medical programs and look at the technology that they have within the medical fields where they have free education. Guess where they're getting all their technology from? Guess where they're getting their medications from? See, you want to know why America has twice the infant mortality rate, about twice the infant mortality rate as Europe has? I'll tell you why. Because America takes risks. They try shit. Europe cannot afford to take risks because they're poor. In this context. So what does Europe do? They wait for America to test drugs, try shit out, try this, try that. And then by the time America's figured it out, then Europe goes, okay, yeah, we take this because it's good for humans. All right. But see, the world is so confused is because Europe has put out this facade that Europe is this land of like people who care about other people and care about health. So they have it completely misunderstood. It's very misunderstood. Okay, see the reason, like I said, I think America's infant mortality rate is like 2.4%, and Europe is like 1 point. I think it's like 1.3. I might be a little off, but America has roughly double the rate of infant mortality, and it's completely misunderstood as to why. Just like when it comes to medications, anything to do with healthcare, anything to do with banned ingredients, banned drugs, anything. The reasons why this is because it's the all of these things are very misunderstood, are extremely misunderstood, and the world just like ran away with it with misunderstanding. But yeah, I could go on for hours, like how people go on for hours with me about it. Let me eat this up. Hopefully I don't fuck this up. Scared that. Okay. Ah, there we go. Peeling it. Tastes like juice. Kung Fu stains don't go against the water. Instead, manipulate its own using force against it, aka a system to your advantage. Uses it or it might. Have you met any African men dating Czech women, and could you tell she didn't respect him because he was African? Um, the few that I didn't that I did know, in my opinion, I think African guys who come here tend to suffer from an inferiority complex. And I spoke with actually one of my other students at that company I told you earlier that they got fired from at the Atlas Co or something like that. He had worked in Nigeria for like 6 months, and we talked about this. And he noticed how, and we, because he was a really intelligent dude. So, these people you can really speak directly blunt with, as long, you don't sound like a complete asshole when you're asking sensitive questions. But he said, no, like the African men tend to be submissive, and it's awkward. It's either submissive or like awkward or angry. Like it's very rare that I've ever came across an African dude who was just like normal. My opinion is there's an inferiority complex that's really strong there. Um, and then I feel if I had to assume, they're probably talking about me behind my back because I'm an American, and then like I'm like the better black kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like but I can only assume that I've never seen it, heard, or witnessed it. But we talk about with a Czech woman, because one friend of mine, the Czech women tend to use black guys. Well, which is all I think. Czech women and Czech men, they'll use black populations as Pokemon. They're cute for a little while, then they'll get rid of them. They're pets. And I think what's even more weird is when it's an African American who like who doesn't have that kind of when you speak to me like I will walk in a room and not give a fuck about this goddamn room, like this room is beneath me kind of thing. Like I can walk into a room like that. I think that further kind of like confuses them and makes them like on edge kind of thing. But to answer your question, um, Czech women are in a really weird spot too. Czech Republic on a whole is in a weird spot, but Czech women are in another weird spot because they, since now many of these European countries who were underneath communism, they missed that whole women's liberation from the West. Like they just missed all that. So that's why they still do have a strong sense of femininity and being proud of being feminine. I'm not saying like Italy or like I'm not saying Italy or French women don't have this too, but the Slavic women definitely have like a far more stronger sense of femininity, because again, they missed that whole women's liberation push that the West had. They had no idea what any of that was. No, none. So, and in communism, they were forced to work and take care of the children. So like these women, like Czech women in general, this is why I think Czech women. I think Czech women are in a really weird spot because they don't have. They're not so much as like Ukrainian. They're not as poor as like Ukrainian women or some Russian women, where like they pretty much know they'll never get a job, so they have to just like manipulate the fuck out of men, kind of thing. Like the Czech women still have that backbone to like go out and work, kind of thing. Like I think it would be rare to find a Czech woman who would not want to work. Like that going half and all that shit is still it's still in them to want to go to work. Kind of, for the most part, you're always going to find some here or there that are not, but for the most part, it's still in them. But um, so that kind of like, in a weird way, it kind of like gave them some feminism qualities in a weird way. Not like to the point where they're like fat and retarded feminists, but they do have like a weird way of like I said, they still go to work and they still want to go to work. They still want to work. Because again, they missed that whole women's liberation, and then the women went crazy, and now the men are chasing women in America, and they missed all that. Like these people missed that entire wave. Pretty much here and further east, they missed all that. Um, but how they treat African men, I would say this: a brown man over here is like a prostitute to is like a female, any woman prostitute to any man. Like they're more seen as just like a good time if they can fit that woman's imagination. You know what I mean? Like a prostitute. A woman who's a prostitute is essentially working to fit your imagination of what you have of that woman in sex and all that. Whereas it's the flip side. Like you got to remember, like these people are very uncultured. Again, due to communism, being landlocked, these people are very uncultured. Their culture is literally based in not being cultured. Right? Right. That's what communism was. Communism literally forced people to move back to their home country. Like they tried to separate everybody and do this perfect order of like countries again. Like it come like so their culture is literally built in not being cultured. So like they don't, like, to them, it's still hard to see an African man as a human. They can't see it. Like it's very hard. Like you have to like hip hop. You have to do these kind of. They can't see you as just human. You see them because they don't have any experience. They have literally no experience. And then just that whole situation, that stigma of Africa being extremely poor and this and that, all that's going to play into it. And then all the African guy has to do is come in just a little self-doubting, and she's going to smell it on him and just get worse and worse over time. I'm talking like bad. Now, the friend of mine, his wife just got, when I started hearing the stories he had, that what she was doing, like, I wouldn't have put up with any of that. We would have been separated long before it ever got to these phases. Like, he was coming home and another dude was walking out the house that he didn't know him, or somebody's supposed to be over there. He would come home and another dude be walking out the house. like Jesus Christ, dude. Like, that's wild. That's wild. I think African men are lucky to be in Europe, whereas Western men are indifferent. Oh, they act lucky. It's always a little weird. I'm not, and I can't lie about it. It's always a little weird. Um, if there are some that aren't like that, maybe I've just never met them who aren't like that. Um, Because like I said, to the people here, if you're brown, you're most likely, like, especially if the Czech people never left, like you're always going to be a Pokemon to them. They want you to fit their imagination of what you are. You're just a toy to them. Because they're just not educated or cultured. Like they're severely behind in development in the world. It's really weird. I'm wondering how I can improve the clothes I wear. Gundam Freedom number one is fit. Your number one thing is fit. When it comes to improving clothes, don't really worry about the cut of the clothes yet and all that. Number one. Okay, I tell you what. Gundam Free. Either you can email me or just write it here. Tell me your height and weight, and I'll tell you generally what'll work. Tell me how tall and how much you weigh. But clothing is the fit is the number one thing. Because if the fit ain't right, ain't nothing gonna look good. All right. All right. If the fit ain't right, 6 foot 220. 6 foot 220. Okay, so you a little heavier. For you, man. Well, here's the thing. It's not okay. As long as if you're fat if you're fat or skinny, that's really what it is. I would tell you do this. So don't. I was going to try to actually break it. I would tell you do this. Go find a tailor. Go find any tailor. Doesn't matter, because they're not going to charge you for what I'm going to tell you. Go find a tailor. Go to a tuxedo shop. Doesn't matter. But just go find a tailor. Ask them to take your measurements, and they're going to write down all your measurements on a card. Right nowadays, you don't even got to do what I did. Yeah, go find a tailor, have them write down your measurements on a card. Go on ChatGPT, type in those measurements verbatim, and then have ChatGPT tell you what clothes will fit you properly. Because these are measurements that you can't fuck up. All right. The reason why I say that, let me take this shirt off so I show you. This jacket, actually. So, when it comes to shirts, it's very simple, man. It's very simple. When it comes to shirts, so, shit. So you see this part? Can you see? Yeah, let me make this bigger. So I'll show you how you make sure a shirt fits. Step one, we're gonna start with this shirt. So you see this part on my t-shirt where it has that little T part? That part should be right on that bone. You can't see the bone, but you know the bone I'm talking about. It's like this bone that sticks out of your back arm somewhere is that bone. That T part has to go there. All right, that's all you got to worry about. Once that goes there, it has to be right there. Short. That's all you got to worry about, bro. It's real simple. All right, it's real simple. These fit. Once you know the foundation of how clothes fit, you can't fuck it up. All right. Now you might have to figure out what works for you and what your walk of life and these things like that. But the main thing is you have to know where these are not by accident. This design is not by accident. These are done intentionally, right? And with your pants, maybe you're not a skinny fit dude or like a trim leg, whatever. But with the pants, just make sure the pants are not falling over your shoes. Don't make sure they're not high waters, but make sure they're when you sit down, it's okay for the pants to come up a little bit. It's okay if you sit down, but when you stand up, the pants should not just be falling all over your shoe and where they're dragging the floor or just looking just crumbled up at the bottom. It's real simple. Maybe you like baggier pants, whatever. But the fail safe way, the fail safe way to go about it, I would tell you to do with a fit of clothes, go to a tuxedo shop or a suit shop, and it doesn't matter which one. It could be an expensive one, it could be a cheap one. Doesn't matter. Go to a tuxedo shop, a tuxedo shop, a suit shop, or maybe even like a costume fitting shop. I don't know, but anybody, these places are going to have people in there that are tailors. You don't have to buy anything in there. Just ask for your measurements and then tell them what you want to look like. In all honesty, you could really go to a tailor and just be like, hey, like, how do I dress to make women want to fuck me? And they'll know exactly what you're talking about. They might laugh and giggle a little bit, but they know. They'll look at you and be like, okay, put this on. It's real simple. I'm an African dude in Europe, and I haven't really experienced the Pokemon thing. They must see how I look and hear my English and assume I'm not African until I tell them, of course. Probably. Probably. I would assume. AD won't lead you wrong with fits, believe me. Yeah. But yeah, what about the length? With pants? Yeah, with the shirt. I mean, like, listen, now some things are just up to you. Generally speaking, well, it depends on what kind of dress shirt you're wearing. If you want to wear a dress shirt, or if you want to wear like just a polo type shirt, or like t-shirts or sweater. But mostly, as long as it's just not too big, and as long as there's nothing that's like falling over or anything like that, it looks like more uniform. Let's see if I could go online. I tell you what, let's look up some online. Let's go on Pinterest. Can we do this on Pinterest? So let's just start with casual. Will it let me do it if I scroll through here? So you about 6 foot. Let's do this. 6 foot. Well, now you got AI to help you out with this, man. I didn't have that when I was figuring it out. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I would say just read this. Sites like this. I learned how to dress from that site, askmen.com. But yeah, honestly, like I said, how you can really fix you, because I'm not with you, so yeah, I won't get everything right, of course, unless I was like with you. But I would say just go, like I said, just Google the tuxedo shop near me. Google tuxedo shops near me, suit store near me. Just Google these things and then just go in there. They're gonna have somebody in there who can take your measurements. If not, then they're just being fucking assholes, because there's somebody in there who can take your measurements, because they have to do that for suits. Um, Now, when you buy a suit, if you buy a suit, usually, many times, like depending on the place, like they may not tailor the bottom, they may not hem the bottom of the pants leg. So it'll just be like they'll rather have you have way too much material than not enough. So like you're usually gonna have to get the bottoms hemmed, or like like sewn, tailored, so they don't fall too low to the ground. But I would say most men have. It's not an uncommon issue. Most men suffer from this. Most men suffer from dressing. Thanks for the advice. Yeah, no problem, man. I remember telling my girl when we linked up with AD, she said how we will spot him in a crowd. I said, don't worry, baby, we'll spot him ASAP. Yeah, man, we went to that. I got the duck. I remember that, yeah. Hey, Cupid links, but I feel sorry for you. I don't want to say I feel sorry for your girl, but like, I really want to have a conversation with her, because I'm going to try to talk in ways where I don't put all your business on the street. But okay, Cuban Link's girl is European, and she's a good looking European girl. So in America, she's like a goddess. I mean, and I remember we were talking, and I think she mentioned some kind of way of how, like, she really wants to move back to Europe, because of it, because it was just too much of an issue. It was, people were just, hounding her, or they seen her online. They didn't think she was real, which is completely believable in North America because women are pathetic in North America. And I really do, I really do want to. I didn't know how to really tell you, man, but I really do want to just have like a conversation. Well, I mean, both of you could be in the room. I don't really care, but I just want to hear her thoughts. Like, I just want to hear her perspective of living in America and like, like she can't be a normal girl in America. Over here, she could be she can just, kind of just go blend in with the crowd and be more of a normal girl out here. But like in North America, she can't do that. Mm. And then she has an accent, and they go find out she's European, and that's gonna be it, dude. Like they're just gonna go crazy over her. Like they'll never. She may suffer from the same thing I suffer from. Maybe like once they find out she's European, like they're never gonna see her as like a human. They're gonna see her as like an exotic white woman. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just gonna be Brian is always gonna be blown kind of thing. Like, like they see her and they're gonna go back and tell all their friends that they notice, they met this European goddess kind of thing. Like she's never gonna be a fucking human in the U.S. Right? So I could kind of understand what she's going through. And I don't know if I told you, man. When you drove me home, I was scared because you had been drinking, and they don't play that shit out here, man. Like if they pull you over, the first time I ever was breathalyzed in my life was when I was here, and luckily this time I did not drink. Usually I would get a shot of something every time I go to a restaurant, and this time I just didn't get a shot. I don't even know why, right? And that was the time I got pulled over. The cop didn't even say anything. He just came to the car and just held up the breathalyzer. You know what I mean? Like he even say like, "Hey, how you doing?" Nothing. He just walked to the car, breathalyzer. You know what I mean? And that was the first time I was ever breathalyzed. You know what I mean? And they don't play with that shit out here, man. I was talking to somebody earlier today. Like in the U.S., like you fine. Like everybody knows people drink and drive in North America. Just drive responsibly and you'll be all right. But in Europe, they don't play that shit, dude. They will fuck you up. They don't play drinking and driving. It took me a long time to come to that understanding because when I first came here, even now, I'll still fuck around and forget. Like I'll be out with like a friend and I'll have like a beer or something and I would give it to him and he'd be like, "Oh no, I'm driving." I'd be like, "Man, so here, take this beer." And he'd be like, "No, I can't. I'm driving." He'd be dead serious, It took me a while to get used to that. They don't play that shit. Yeah, the being real thing is really for real. At the job a while ago, she said someone thought she was Latina. I can see that, like a white skinned Latina, because she had a little thickness to her too. I could see that. I could see why they wouldn't assume. Well, yeah. Like here's the thing. Like when I met her, I think you had told me where she was from before I'd met her. But if I had met her in North America, I would not assume. Yeah, I wouldn't assume she was necessarily. I'll just say this, I wouldn't assume she was Slavic because she had a little she's got a little thickness to her. She's not that like rail thin, skinny, kind of Slavic girl. Well, well, I'm finna chill when I'm out there. No drinking and driving. Yeah, I was scared for you, man, because I didn't want you to get in trouble. I was trying not to panic. I felt like Dave Chappelle with Wayne Brady. Like I was trying not to panic. I was like, please, just get up this hill. But the good part is the cops out here now. That's a great part about Europe. They don't hunt. like they do in America. Like they hunt in America. The cops in America will do anything for a promotion. All right, they hunt. That's a great part about Europe. You can just walk past a police officer and bump into him, like, oof, excuse me, and just keep walking. They're like, they're human out here, but like in America, you don't ever know what you might get with a police officer in America. You be scared. As soon as you see police in America, everybody get a little scared. That's something Europeans don't know nothing about. When you see police in America, everybody gets a little scared. Even successful white people be like, uh-oh, what happened? That's something Europeans don't know nothing about. That fear. You just be driving down the road and you see headlights that look like a cop's headlights. You would see a car for real. You're like, oh shit. Hope I'm staying between the white lines. Am I cool? America, boy, no matter how fast you're going in America, no matter how fast you are going in America, when you driving a car, if you fuck around and look up and see a police car, you immediately let off that gas and hit the brakes. At least a little bit, just to be safe. Because you don't want to go 37 and a 35. All right, that's how they be out in America, man. They hunt. Out here, they don't hunt like that. I mean, they do have some traps. I know of some traps out here where they always have cars pulled over. There's one down there by that. I'll show you on Google Maps. There's a spot down by the mall where they always have people pulled over all the time. Because it's so confusing to drive, like many streets in Prague. It's so confusing to know which ways are one ways and which ways aren't, and all this shit. Like you are always gonna, like, there's always a car pulled over. Let's go. Wait, where is this? I can't even see where I'm at. I'm fucked up now. I'm way up the street. Okay, right here. It's gonna be right here. So this is the mall. I'm always at this mall. Can you guys see that? I'm always out here because this is the tram stop right there. There's a homeless person right there now on the tram stop. But I'm always here, like literally always here. And there's always a car pulled over right here because these streets can, like when you're driving, they could get so confusing to know which way is straight and which way. And the police, they know that it's confusing. So they always have cars pulled over literally right here where that water is, like right there's always a car pulled over right there with the lights flashing. Always. Like literally every day. You go down there, you will see a car down there pulled over by the police. But yeah, I'm always in this mall. Yeah. And this is where I go. And this is, I'll show you where my package is now. That they sent it to me while I was live streaming. It says there now. This is, I'll show you Alza. So this is this is Alza. This is like their version of Amazon. It's like their like mini check version of Amazon, where you like it's pretty much like either the best price shit you could find, or you can return something if it doesn't work. Because you could tell they got that Western influence in them, so they got like hardcore rules they gotta follow. You know what I mean? Because you fuck around, go to these other little stores, they may not just they may not follow laws and rules in there, but Alza will. So people rely on Alza for trustworthiness. So, so they either can deliver it to your flat, but they usually charge some crazy price. I just go there and pick up my package. So I gotta go. I'll be there tomorrow to pick up a package. But yeah, man, I'm always down here, always in this area. I would take my son to this park over here and do laps, walk. You probably can't. Oh yeah, you can go down here. Yeah, I would take my son down here, and I remember this was the first park I took him to when he was small. and he had never sat in grass before. And I remember because I recorded him, I sat him in grass, and he just sat there with this like coat on and just didn't move. He didn't know what grass was yet. But we used to always go here and run around in the grass and do laps around this motherfucker. And let's see, you go towards the river if we go this way. There's a river down here. Actually, I got to go pick up a bike somewhere over here Saturday. So it's the river. I didn't know there was a basketball court down there. That must be, yeah, that's new. This is 2024. Because I remember seeing those like boats and that like those like kayaks, where the fuck that shit is. I remember that, but I never remember seeing a basketball court down there. But yeah, man, this is where I be. So my friends always be wanting to go down here. I really don't. Okay, oh, so you remember that movie? What movie? Was that John Wick? Yeah, it was the last John Wick movie. There was a last John Wick movie where he goes into this, right? He goes into this. Like, I think it was either Ballerina or the last John Wick. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was John Wick. Or maybe it was the Ballerina. But they walk into this, and then they cut it, and then the inside of where they was at, I'll show you the inside when they went into that big circle window, they cut it and they went into, what was it, National? Yeah, yeah. Then they cut it to be inside of this building. I'll show it to you. Hang on, right? Come on, drop. He's not going to drop. Why isn't he dropping? But that whole scene was cut between like 3 different buildings. And I know all 3 of those, the insides of all those. What the fuck is wrong with this thing? I don't know why Google Maps ain't working. Am I still on the internet? Jesus Christ. What the fuck? Why isn't this working? I don't know why it's not working. Well, you can't even see inside anyway. But yeah. So that part, I want to say it was either Ballerina or John Wick. But when they walk into that big circle window, why the fuck isn't this working? I'm gonna get off here in a minute. Maybe if I do it down here, it's just not letting go. I don't need about low, yeah. I don't know what's wrong with it. It's just not dropping. I have no idea why it's not doing it. Well, we probably look it up. So, no, that's not it. No, well, it's the next. It's up the street. It's that building next to this one is where they film the inside of John Wick when they walk in the building. But I don't know why nothing's working. Come on, Magic Mouse. Okay. How's his son and wife? Oh man, we broke up, man. We broke up. I had to kick her out. It's too long to go into. So we're gonna get off here anyway. But yeah, no, she ain't here no more. AD in North Carolina, the police have Hellcat and Trackhawk police car. I don't know what that is. When you see them, there's no running away. What's that? Trackhawk. Oh. It's like a Jeep. Yeah. Now, to be fair, the police cars here, they're not anything like, souped up. Because, I mean, most people never, you can't even drive that fast in Prague anyway. Um, Because I was just thinking about trying to get some cool, like, rear wheel drive car, but they don't even really have, like, see, it's not like the US where, like in America, you can always just go get you, like, some older Camaro or something like that just to have a sports car. Like, they really don't have a lot of sports cars, at least in Czech Republic. They don't do that like that. They don't have that. Like, these things are kind of reserved for like luxury for just higher end luxury type of things. They don't really have a good market for that. Like I said, in America, you can go to like pretty much any used car dealership and just find a ton of just old Camaros or whatever, old sports cars. But yeah, like here, because I kind of want one now. But yeah, I can't do that here. But slamming the mouse, smashing the mouse. Oh, yeah. But yeah, cool, man. I'm gonna get out of here because it's 9. I said I was gonna last stream until like 9. But but yeah, if nobody's got anything else, I'll let you go. Read a couple more of these. I'm gonna let you go. The police would have been on his ass. How dare you be with a yeah. Giving people free stuff limits the thing that makes America the best country in the world. Yeah, drive. I would agree with that, Kevin, for sure. Yeah, drive, and then America has that sense of just unification, man. Like I was watching this one YouTuber talk. I think it's Linus Tech Tips. I used to watch him years ago too. Um, his channel really got successful, but he was showing how he was comparing VR headsets and then like TVs and all stuff like that, and like just the whole concept of like Apple. If they kept it when since they kept that shit in house, like Apple products, that ecosystem is what keeps me like addicted to Apple. Right? It's just that ecosystem. The fact that I can take a picture on my phone and then it will automatically sync to my laptop kind of shit. Or I could take notes in one thing and then pull it up on the iPad and it's in the iPad like pretty much immediately. Sometimes it takes a little while, but pretty much immediately. Like, and everything like just works. Like you get the Apple Watch and just turn it on and it's already ready to sync to your phone kind of thing, right? Like all that fluid. Now, maybe Android can do some of this stuff. I don't know. I'm not going to act like I know. Um, because I haven't had anything Android in a long time. Now, I will say this: the phone I bought my son for like $120 or something like that. In reality, I like that phone better than my iPhone. I prefer using that Android for real. The screen looks much better. It's a much bigger phone. Has a much better battery in it. I don't really care about cameras as long as the camera just works. It doesn't look shitty. I'll use any camera. But the sad part is like it's just always like Android is just always kind of like this independent Lone Ranger, whatever it does. Like it doesn't feel like it's like connected to anything else, which it really isn't. I mean, you could use that. I tried using that Google, like you can like track your phone through Google. I tried using that. I mean, it was okay. Like Apple just has like it's like all the little things. I'm like completely Apple, for sure. If it wasn't for gaming, for PC gaming, I would just throw out all my Windows shit. I would just buy all Apple shit and be done with it. Um, but again, that phone I bought my son, like when I had my son, like I always use that phone. Unless I'm listening to Apple Music, I use that. I use his phone for everything. Um, But yeah, it's that ecosystem. For me, it's not about status. It's not about showing people I have Apple products. I give a fuck less about any of that. My thing is that ecosystem. That ecosystem is so tight that like I don't want to leave it. Like it's just so for me that's what it is 100 because all my work is done on computers too. So like it's just so much easier to just have it in that ecosystem. Everything is just so much easier. It just works. But then like you get to like what's like the PlayStation. Like everybody's trying to start their ecosystem now. Like PlayStation, well, they've always kind of tried that, and none of it's ever been really good. Microsoft, I think Microsoft was about, in my opinion, I think Microsoft was about the next best one with the Xbox controller, with Xbox, and then with the PC. I think Microsoft was about the only other one that came anywhere near close that I've ever witnessed to Apple with that ecosystem. And it was not really even an ecosystem, just a Bluetooth connection. But yeah. I gotta say I gotta be team Apple for the ecosystem. It's not because Apple has like better processors or anything like that. Okay, two things. I gotta be with team Apple because the ecosystem and the MacBooks are just like superior. Like build quality, speakers, microphones, like for what you're gonna pay for a Windows laptop, like the Windows laptops do great with hardware, but like in terms of just strictly hardware, like RAM, memory, processor, video card. Windows laptops do great with it, but the batteries are always dog shit. I've never seen a Windows laptop have a good battery. Not one time. I've never seen. Now maybe it exists, and maybe I've just never seen it. Um, and now MacBooks don't particularly do gaming well. They don't usually have good video card or any type of video card support in general, you know. But the build quality is like the trackpads, the keyboards. The keyboard has some issues, but the trackpad, the overall feel, the speakers, the microphone. Like I never had to buy a microphone for this mother. I'm using everything you've ever seen me do on YouTube was like the basic MacBook shit. I've never bought any extra external anything for this motherfucker. Right now, if I go in there and use my Windows laptop, the gaming laptop, I would have to buy another mic. Right, the speakers sound like dog shit. The trackpad is horrible. I thought the laptop was a piece of shit until I plugged up an external mouse to it. Like you have to buy like all this extra shit for Windows laptops just to get them to the same functional level as a MacBook. Like you literally have to go out and buy like external shit just to get the same like overall experience that you would get on just like a base regular MacBook. So I'm team Apple for that. As I said, if it wasn't for gaming, I would just never touch a PC. I wouldn't touch Windows at all if I didn't game. But yeah, it's just me. It works for me because I don't take a lot of pictures or need a sync. Now, the Uno, like if you're not like taking pictures or need to sync data, then there's no use for Apple. Yeah, I would never recommend Apple anything if you didn't want anything. If you don't need anything like that, I would never recommend Okay, because I pretty much trashed the AirPods when I first bought them. Now I like them. And the reason why I like them, like I would never tell my dad to get a pair of AirPods. I would never tell anybody, and most people in America, I would never tell them to get a pair of AirPods. I think it'd be a complete waste of money. The reason why I like the AirPods now is because when you're out in the elements, that noise canceling feature is great. It's not like absolutely perfect, but it's really, really good. And the pass through is really good. The pass through was so good. It give in a specific situation. It's not always like, okay. When I was waiting on that woman to come bring me that bottle of wine, I got it right here. I had completely forgotten I had the AirPods in because I had pass through on, and I completely forgot they were in my ear. 100%. Couldn't hear a difference, but it was a specific kind of hallway with a little bit of echoing. So like I genuinely could not hear that little awkwardness of the pass through on the AirPod. And I completely forgot. Didn't even notice it. But then I'm riding the trains, I'm riding the subways, I'm riding the trams. So like for me, like, and I'm out there, I'm walking streets, you know, this kind of thing. When you're like out in the elements of life, then the AirPods do great. But if you're a type of person who, if you're just driving everywhere and sitting at home, then I think AirPods are a complete waste of money. I would tell you to get those nothings. They were called nothings. Nothings 2A, I think was the ones I got. They're like $20 on sale. Those are more than enough for people who are driving, you know, kind of thing. But if you're like walking streets, riding trains, you're out in public for hours at a time, AirPods 100%. 100% AirPods. When you're like in the elements of the world, that's where like the noise canceling is better. The pass through is far better. The audio, I still don't think the AirPods audio sound great, but they're good enough. But I like bass, and they don't have, to me, they don't have a lot of bass. That noise canceling shit ain't a good idea out here in America, if you know what I mean, especially in public transit. Yeah. Apple MacBooks with the M4 chips to upgrade. I have a MacBook Air with the M4 chip. I still got this M1, and I'm happy. This M1 does everything that I needed to do. I'm still happy with the battery performance. This MacBook, like, I don't regret buying this MacBook at all. I didn't, and the only reason why I bought this was because I had an old MacBook, and it just couldn't handle video editing like very well at all, and that's why I bought this M1. This M1 is still, I would tell anybody to buy an M1 now because they should be cheaper because it's older. I would tell anybody to buy an M1. This thing does everything. And I have it only has 8 gigs of RAM in this. This is a base model M1, and I'm still perfectly happy. I got this with my laptop in the other room has an i9 13380 or something like that. But it's an i9. My other laptop in the other room has an i9. It has a 4060 video card and like 32 gigs of RAM in it. And if you sit this next to that for like any relatively basic task, you can't tell a difference. The only difference you're going to notice is, of course, with gaming. But like everything else, if anything, this MacBook does it faster. And my gaming desktop has a 12, it's an i5 12, it's like a basic 1240, 12,400, wait, 12, it's a 12400F or whatever, and it has a 3070 in it and 32 gigs of RAM. Because I ended up with the laptop because the military gave it to me. So I got that for free. I got the laptop for free. The military gave it to me for going to school, which I don't know if you guys remember, but me and the VA was going at it for about 6 months because I had these fucking idiots at this Pennsylvania office that told me that they couldn't give me a new laptop and they couldn't fix my old one and they couldn't put me back in school. And now I'm back in school with a new laptop because they were fucking retarded. Okay. But yeah. I think the laptop has like 144. Now, I will say this. The higher refresh rates. I talked about this with somebody on here. I can't remember who. Somebody brought up in the chat. And I had never experienced higher refresh rates. So I will say this. The higher refresh rates definitely is a thing. Like once you see it and like get used to it, and then you go back to 60 FPS. 60 FPS for most games is about the lowest I'll go now. Some games can be okay at like 45, 50, but like I'll start to get like eye strain, like my eyes will hurt. But I've always had that problem. But yeah, my sweet spot is like 90 to 120 FPS now for sure. So if I have to choose between, but the bad part is my gaming laptop only has a 1080p display. So it's not like, it's not 1440 or anything. So that's the downside about the gaming laptop. I guess, I really could just hook, but now I have a 4K monitor, but that 4K monitor is only 60 hertz. And I was thinking about buying a new monitor with a higher FPS, but on the gaming desktop, I mostly use that for VR gaming. So I use that for like sim racing and stuff. I don't know. So, but with the sim racing headset, that goes up to 120 hertz. So that's fine too. I don't know. I like the M1 as well, but I dropped it, just decided to upgrade after that for video conferencing when I was working. Oh, damn, you dropped it? Shit, man. I've been lucky. This is I haven't dropped this. But yeah, I love this M1. Like I would tell anybody to buy I would tell anybody to buy this M1. I love it. I don't like with my situation, like I don't see a reason to upgrade it at all. The only thing, the battery, I think the battery's starting to show signs of like getting weaker. So if anything, I probably pay to just have the battery replaced in all honesty instead of just buy a whole new laptop. Because I like this laptop. I think the battery health on this thing is like down like 83% or something. Let me check it real fast. Check it right now, and then I'll let you guys go. I was at 87. It said maximum capacity 87. It's better than I thought it was. But yeah, it's starting to show like it's starting. I mean, like, you know, it's definitely far from me having to keep it on a charger all day. Like I can like just take it and go somewhere and be fine with it. It's far from like, you know, like a Windows laptop. Like you need to be near a charger at all times with a Windows laptop. like because you might get an hour and a half off that motherfucker. I don't know why Windows keeps fucking that up. I really don't understand that, but they do. Their batteries just don't last long. I don't know why they keep fucking that up, but they keep fucking it up. AOD search of 2003 Hyundai Genesis. 2013. I remember when Hyundai whatever it first came out, man, those cars were like complete jokes and they turned into like great fucking cars. I remember when they first, at least in America, they were like just starting to come around. And like they were like not great. Like two. Yeah. Is it 8-speed? Why are they doing that? Maybe I'm just so far out the loop with cars. Because it's 8. Why? Because my dad's, I think his Cadillac had like 12 speed. Because I would drive my dad's Cadillac with the paddle shifters. It was an SUV. It's an SUV, but he had paddle shifters in it. Why are they putting so many? Well, yeah, it's gonna be smooth and powerful. Yeah, with 8 speeds. I mean 8 gears. Turbocharged. Oh, so this is a manual. Yeah, that should be that should be a comp because I remember I had a Saturn one time and that thing was like maybe it was a weak car but it was a really light car. So yeah, this should I would have just off the top of my head this should be a pretty smooth good ride for sure with the weight and what's in it. Because that 8 speed, yeah, that 8 speed is going to make it more consistent at higher speeds. Well, it should make it more consistent at higher speed. It should feel like it's like dropping off once you get to higher speeds. I tell you, if anybody's ever played BeamNG, if you've played, I can't think, what's it? Automation. Automation. Has anybody played that game, Automation, where you make your own engine? and car. This is a really good game. If you're into cars, if you're into cars, I'd recommend you play this game. This is really good. Is it on sale now? It's usually on sale. Can you even buy it? Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, it's on sale and it's $20. If you're into cars like that, I would highly recommend you play this game. Like you literally build like you. Here's it. You can build a car in this game and then put it in the BeamMG and actually drive it. So I remember the first car that I built. One of the first cars that I built, I just made it like like a ridiculously strong engine, and then like I thought I made like the brakes good and made the car as light as possible, and the car was just undrivable. Like you just couldn't even drive it. Like because if you make the cars like super fucking fast with the biggest engine, it would make it light, and then you know what I mean, and you can make the brakes as good as you want to, but if it's just that fast, like, and then the gearing is not perfect, I remember I just couldn't drive it. It was just like sterile. So like it really teaches you how to balance shit. But yeah, if you're into cars and specs, I highly recommend this game. Cause like you really go in. It's been a while since I played it, and also my dad, he's a retired mechanic, so I was always kind of around cars anyway. But yeah, I would highly recommend, because this game even taught me little things, like for example, because you got to build cars and to sell them. Well, like if you sell them in like Virginia or like areas where there's a lot of mountains, well like this, let's say like for example, if somebody's trying to sell like a Corvette, right? Well, that manufacturer, like Chevrolet, has to know how to gear the car specifically for different not terrains, but just like inclines and declines. So like in Virginia, you would have to make the gears just a little bit longer so the car would get more rev going uphill, versus like in Ohio where most things are just like flat. You don't, so they would have to so like you could have bought a car in like the same car in like Virginia and then Ohio, and both of those cars will operate a little different because of that reason. They have to make the car, like it could be the same as that car, but they have to slightly change little parts of it, giving where they'll be, kind of thing. But this game was really great. I would highly recommend you play this game if you're into cars and stuff like that. This game, and if you have a VR headset, this is a really good game too. If you have a VR headset, this is an excellent game, man. I got this game, and I played in VR, where you go into cars and you fix them. This is by far the best game like this I've ever played. Because there was another car game like this called like My Summer Project or something like that. It was and it's just a brutally difficult game. But you build a car like from the gaskets, everything. Like you have to put it together. But this game is by far the best one I've ever seen. I highly if you have a VR headset, highly recommend. I can't recommend this game enough. And it looks like this in the VR headset. Well, this is the thing with VR headsets, like it's never going to look as crisp as it does in 2D. Like it's always going to be a little blurry here and there. But this is a very accurate representation of how it looks, because you got to get under in the VR headset, and like, and of course you're not going to like kind of like do that. You're not going to like actually wrench shit in. But like the look, everything is like perfect. Like I said, my dad's a retired mechanic, so like I would go to work with him in his garage, and like sometimes, not all the time, but he would also have stuff at home. So like I would always be around car parts like in some kind of way when I was growing up. So like I'm speaking from like a light experience through him, but like I wouldn't trust myself with building an engine in real life. I would do it in a video game. You know what I mean? Like I barely trust myself with changing my own oil now. It's been so long since I've done any of that. But if I had to, I would go in there and figure it out. But I wouldn't trust. If there's somebody who's an actual mechanic, I would just take the car to the mechanic. But like because my dad taught me how to do a decent amount of stuff. Like we changed the manifold on my Saturn that time in the garage, because it was just leaking oil. So we had to put the gasket and the manifold back on it with that little glue, and let it sit for a while. Hey, oh yeah, I played World of Warcraft like back when it was like first a big thing. When that South Park episode came out, that was the time when I played it. When it was big. It's that World of Warcraft. When I was working at Dell with a bunch of friends of mine out there, because they were playing it and they got me to play it with them. But yeah, cool. I'll let you guys go, man, because it's late. So thanks to everybody who tuned in, like, subscribe, and I'll catch y'all later, man. Peace out.